Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let me get a minute here to just get my screen shared and the chat open and give folks a chance to join us. Let me know, can folks see my desktop? Hopefully you can see a slide that says, "Let's talk aging parents, crucial questions and conversations." Look good? Okay, awesome. Just give it a few more moments here. Get my chat going. Okay, lovely. Okay, well, let's get started. I want to kick off on time and be respectful of everyone's time. I'm sure there will be folks joining as we get going, which will be great. So hi everyone. I am so excited for you to join in this workshop today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy days to gather here today. Today is really going to be memorable. We are going to be talking about and digging into a really important and critical aspect in our lives that has to do with caregiving, elder caregiving, that of helping and supporting our aging parents and navigating this world of elder care and the role transitions and all of the conversations and topics that come with that. And my goal, as always, when I put on a workshop like this, is to make sure that it's both inspirational and energetic, but also thought-provoking and leaves you with concrete knowledge and takeaways so that you have some very powerful next steps for those of you who are ready and excited to take them. So, welcome. If you are new to my world, my name is Kathleen Korpela. I am an elder care expert. I work with women, professionals, sandwich generation, those of us that are caregiving from the middle when it comes to navigating the elder care phase in our lives. And in the time we have together today, we are going to be covering a set of 6 foundational questions and conversation topics that are crucial and critical to getting your family and plans in order. Okay. I'd love to get to know who's on and who's joining us. So if you could, please introduce yourself and in the chat there, and then your name and where you are joining us from. I'd love to see that as well. Usually we have folks from all over the country, so it's wonderful. And then if you are also wouldn't mind sharing too where you are at in terms of what your own personal caregiving elder care situation is. So maybe who are you helping or supporting? Who's top of mind for you as you participate in this workshop? And what stage of this process and chapter and journey you're at? Maybe it is lurking in the periphery of your lives with some aging parents or some in-laws. Maybe you are in the middle of it with 1 or 3 parents, 4 parents, maybe. Or maybe you're somewhere who's with a loved one who is closer to end of life. So share all of that, and I'd love to just get a sense for who's with us. Oh, fabulous. Okay. Yep. Hi, Janice. I love this. Okay, well, you guys keep sharing in the chat there. It's great for me to get a sense for who's joining, but also for all of you all to connect as well. And I will keep moving along here. So, like I said, I can imagine that, for many of you, there's probably conversations regarding your parents and family situation regarding their aging that you've been avoiding or putting off. Maybe there's several questions and conversation topics, and maybe it's been something that you or the family hasn't tackled for a long time, if ever. And maybe you are someone who is noticing changes in your parents, maybe you've noticed changes, and Maybe you have a situation where you have siblings, but maybe they're not involved or you're not quite sure how to involve them. And little by little, it could also feel like things are kind of coming your way, falling on you in this area of your life. But you're not quite sure maybe how to broach some of these topics and conversations or even where to start. And the truth is that families who navigate and plan thoughtfully for elder care are not the ones who avoid or shy away from these hard conversations, sensitive conversations, and topics. They are really the ones who know how to have them. They know how to have brave, courageous conversations. They know what to bring up and what to talk about with their siblings or their parents or their spouse, or other family members, regarding their aging loved ones. And it is so common that a lot of adult children inadvertently, unintentionally wait for some sort of a healthcare or medical emergency crisis before tackling some of these crucial topics with family members. And by then, emotions are running high, right? Options oftentimes are limited. And someone in the family, if it's not you, it's someone else, right, who's been handling this, is already burned out. And it can oftentimes feel too late. Okay. And I'm here to tell you it is never too late, but it often does feel that way when you're very reactive. And it just does not have to be that way at all. And so, what we are talking about today is part one of a two-part workshop series on important questions and conversation topics that every woman supporting aging parents, adult child needs to have, that you need to have with your family, with your parents around coordinating care, dividing responsibilities, getting critical legal and financial plans in place, and really starting to think and talk about that with your family. These aren't just topics to kind of, broach over one time, right? These really are relationship preserving. They're stress reducing for you and your family members. They're intended to be clarity creating discussions that really can work to transform elder care from overwhelming chaos into a much more manageable reality for you and for your family. And what you're going to walk away during this session is lots of different conversation starting scripts that you can use starting today, this week, over the next month, with your family members, and clear guidance on what matters, like what to be starting conversations on, and hopefully walking away with some confidence, right? Coming out of this session, and hopefully you can join us for the part two session, on maybe some things that you've been avoiding or denying or putting off, right? Because these conversations that, you don't have today inadvertently become the crisis or the emergencies that you then can't avoid later. And that's costly, it's expensive, it's painful. And so I want to make sure that you are all prepared and that you are all thinking about these. And my intention is that this workshop really become a first step for you inside my caregiving from the middle elder care community for women that I lead and facilitate. And I'll be sharing more about it in just a minute. There is programming and resources and a comprehensive on-demand learning curriculum that provides support, structure, empowerment, accountability, connection with other women that's specifically designed to carry women through so many of the tricky family dynamics these workshops are just scratching the surface on. And what I'm talking about today is it's really just the start. It's giving you a peek at methods and approaches that are helping women navigate in this area of their lives with more confidence because they have knowledge, they have know-how, they have tools, they have a plan developed. They have a framework within which to work to start tackling some of these things in their lives. And so the workshop here today is really designed to not only teach and provide value, but to really help you decide if you're ready to do something about this area of your life, to do something more than maybe just think passively about it, to take the next step, to really seek out the support and guidance that you probably feel you're being called forward towards, right? Which is why you're participating here today. And so I really hope that, whether this workshop and the next part two workshop of this one is the extent of our time together, or whether you decide that, this is the start of a beautiful and fruitful relationship, in joining the community in which I work with women, I am just so ready and excited to support you. Okay. A little bit more about me before we get going here. I am the founder of a company called Living Golden Well Inc. Like I said, I am an expert in elder care. I really focus on women, professionals, caregiving from the middle, the sandwich generation. I am a working mom. I have a daughter who is 12 and a half and a son who is 8 and a half. So I have one of each. It's a lot of fun having a boy and a girl. I have a very full household. Just a little bit about me personally. I was a sandwich generation family caregiver for my father who had Alzheimer's dementia. This is a picture of us right there. And I really experienced the role reversal that comes with this transition of being an adult child and stepping increasingly into, parenting your parent. It's a big emotional journey to navigate as part of stepping into elder care and supporting aging parents. And I've experienced the journey of dementia. I like to say that I have lived and, completed an elder caregiving journey all the way from diagnosis to death. And I felt so passionately about bringing all of my past professional work experience and my personal caregiving journey experience together in the name of helping women, that I left my successful corporate career in business and technology to serve women everywhere, struggling with their own caregiving journeys, struggling with this area of their lives. Because I realized firsthand there is just such a dire lack of structured support and information and resources for women who are caring for aging parents, trying to come alongside aging parents, that it repeatedly compelled me forward and gave me the conviction that there is just a huge gap in comprehensive educational and community-based and support-based resources for people stepping into elder care in our world today. That was really the genesis for me founding this company and the elder care community that I have. I really do believe that even in the midst of the challenges of caring for an aging parent and navigating the complexities in this phase of our lives, that all of us here, all of us really can lead meaningful and fulfilling lives that meet our own needs and help our parent or our parents have the best quality of life as they continue to age and decline, when we ourselves invest in knowledge and proactively plan and seek out that support and that guidance. But then there's always the question of, how do you prepare for something so emotionally and logistically complex as navigating elder care and supporting aging parents? It really is a lot. And that really does take know-how, it takes knowledge, it takes support. And my passion really lies in helping work with women and guide women and their families in charting their path, creating their roadmap really for elder care so that they have confidence, they have clarity. Clarity is so powerful, right? And they have a game plan that's aligned with their loved ones and their families' needs and wishes. I am all about creating authentic and welcoming support communities and learning programs for women. And I lead, like I was saying, a membership community for women. It's called Caregiving from the Middle. I want to share a little bit about it on here because I'm just so excited about it. It is a comprehensive, one and only, first of its kind membership-based community that is completely dedicated to helping women find connection with other women who are supporting aging parents, coming alongside aging parents, going through it, and helping women more confidently navigate through this phase in their lives and the number of different types of dynamics and challenges that women face. And what we are building here is something truly special, truly unique. It's a high touch experience connecting women through virtual live group calls, curated gatherings with subject matter experts, a comprehensive educational curriculum and learning library, and a private online community forum that's always available to the community members. And so I want to just share a little bit about that here and touch on it, but I'm going to be talking more about it toward the end of this workshop too. Okay, so for those of you who are interested in learning more about it. Okay, so let's get into our 6 foundational conversation topics, really through 2 themes that we are going to be talking about. Theme 1 is around family coordination and support. And then theme 2 that we're going to be covering is legal, financial, and living arrangements topics, questions and topics. Okay. So topic 1 is around sharing the caregiving load. So here's a question that you might have asked yourself, or you might be asking yourself, or maybe you should be asking yourself. How can my family share the caregiving load fairly? Okay. So most families often fall into elder caregiving, right? That of supporting a parent in, or parents, or multiple parents, or in-laws in one way or another. Sometimes it's by accident. Usually it's one of the siblings, one person. Usually it's the geographically closest daughter or the eldest daughter, sort of gradually taking on things, right, on behalf of the parents or the in-laws until she's overwhelmed. But equity does not always mean equality, right? And when we think about who are the other family members in our lives, be that siblings, husbands, other relatives, aunts and uncles, contribute and support differently based on location, skills, resources, availability, right? It's really, really important to think about because, the responsibility of supporting parents needs to be thought through. And I think it's especially so if you have, a lot of siblings, even if you're an only child, it's just so important. One of the other things that's really important here as you work with siblings or other relatives or neighbors and friends, if you don't have siblings, documenting discussions, documenting conversations, documenting who does what. Because what I have learned is that informal arrangements or sort of assuming your brother might be handling some things can really breed confusion, it can breed resentment, and it can breed a lot of surprises. And it doesn't help create clear expectations across different areas that you or your siblings or your spouse or whomever it is that's sort of helping in the support system of your aging loved one can participate in. And there are a number of different, what I call contribution categories that can be talked about and discussed to help provide some more clarity and some expectations when you talk with family members about how are we going to handle things for mom or dad or mom and dad? How do we want to think about how we do this? And so having this family meeting with your siblings or with other family members is critically, critically important. And so here I've included some conversation starters and some language that you can use and kind of customize mom or dad's increasing needs because right now it feels like it's mostly falling on either me or name the name, and I don't think that's sustainable or fair to anyone, including mom or dad, right? um Clear, it's an opener, right? It's an opener to this discussion topic. Here's another one. I'm just reading the second one here. Can we all sit down and talk about how we want to divide responsibilities, how we want to think about sharing some of these responsibilities, right? Not just who does what, but who's good at what, who's available for what, how we can make this work for everyone now and in the future, right? And think about how we might include mom and dad's preferences about who they want help from, how they want to be helped. A good conversation opener, starter, right, to get this started. This is a really, really important topic so that you're not the one that's carrying this weight. You're not the primary caregiver that's feeling this a burden. Getting ahead of this is really, really important. Okay. Along with that is topic two of defining your role. So, this is something that people almost never take the time to really think about or reflect on, but is so important so that you're not falling into this or stumbling into this gradually or suddenly. And the question here to really think on is how do I think about and define my role without, becoming overwhelmed or without becoming controlling? How do I think about and defining my role in all of this? Because many adult children struggle with what I call role confusion, right? Am I the child or am I the parent now? Right? And a healthy framework as you think about your role increasingly moving forward and you think about your identities of, adult child versus that of, parent for my parent, right, in some degree or some capacity. I think when it comes to supporting your parent in that identity and in that role, a very healthy framework is coming alongside your parent or your parents as an advocate and not a decision maker unless they lack mental capacity, unless you're maybe dealing with dementia and you have POA, either financial or healthcare. But generally, to think of yourself as an advocate, an orchestrator who's part of their support system. You're not a replacement for their independence. You're not here to be the service provider, and do everything for them, right? You are an information gatherer, a bridge between your loved one and maybe outside services or other people that are in their care team or support system, right? You cannot be everything to them. You cannot be everything to everyone, right? And that is especially true here as you're stepping into this realm of your life and thinking about what is my role, what should be my role, and making that thoughtful reflection and decisions and having conversations with your parents and your family members around that based on your capacity, what you have going in your life, your other commitments and your other responsibilities. Um, it's just so important to get ahead of this type of a conversation and really reflect on it, having it with your parents, and having it with siblings and others as well. So here I've included some conversation starters that can help you think about how might I frame this? How might I get started? What's the language and words that I can use here? So on this first one, with your parent, mom, dad, I want to make sure I'm helping you in the right way. I love you and I want to support you, but I also want to respect your independence and not take over things you want to handle yourself, right? This can be, again, customize this language to however you and your family communicate, what feels most comfortable for you. But this is a good kind of opening, starter script and language to use if your parents are still fairly independent, right? But it's important to talk about and plan for the future when they're not so independent. And then I've, included a script here around clarifying boundaries, one with setting expectations. And so this is, again, language that you can use to take to customize for yourself and your family. And feel free to, of course, write these down or take screenshots of these slides and use them how they best work for you. So, topic three under this theme is building a support ecosystem. This question of, is this really all on me? No, right? Absolutely not. supporting the elders in our lives, the aging seniors in our lives, right? Family caregiving was never meant to be a solo endeavor. In traditional societies, a lot of societies outside the United States, entire communities support their elders, the aging members of that community. And especially in the United States, today's nuclear families often feel isolated and overwhelmed trying to replicate what actually used to be community support. And that's important to understand because no, this absolutely does not need to be on you, does not have to be on you. It should not be on another sibling. It is particularly challenging. I can empathize for only children. There's quite a few women in my in the elder care community that I lead that are only children, and they're seeking their support system right through the community and figuring out ways to find that support and services for their parent where they can't provide that care or that support, even if it's logistically or administratively. It's just not sustainable to have things on you, whether you're an only child or whether you have siblings or whatnot. Forming a support team and a support system, both for yourself as you go through this phase and chapter of life, and helping your parents or your parent with that sort of support system, support ecosystem around them is critically important. Okay. And this is a very important conversation topic to have with your parent, to have with other family members, and to spend some time here really researching what types of community resources and supports is available because just like in parenting, for those of you that are parents, it really does take a village here, right? And it is important to create a support system, to create a network, again, for yourself and help your parent with that as well. And it's got to be more than one person. It's got to be more than family sometimes too, right? Depending on where your parent is or what the circumstances are. Here's some conversation starters and some scripts that you can use, for some of these conversations, right? With your parent, maybe thinking about introducing some options, addressing resistance. Resistance or denial can be very common with parents, and talking about this with people that know your parent, family, or friends as well. But, what about something like, with your parent? I'll just sort of touch on this first one. I've been feeling like I'm trying to be everything for you, right? Your entertainment, your transportation, your medical coordinator, your companion, but I don't think that's best for either of us, right? And then you could lead into something like introducing options, right? What if we looked at bringing in some other people or other services to help me, to help you, not to replace our relationship, right? But to make sure you're getting the best support possible so that I can focus on being your daughter, right? Rather than trying to be your everything. And what this is also doing is re-emphasizing the importance of you and your parent, your loved one, having that relationship, right? And you want to nurture that human relationship with the time that you do have left with your parent, to the degree that you want to do that, to the degree that that's important to you, right? Because I understand everyone has vastly different relationships and family dynamics, interpersonal dynamics with their parent. But this is just some language and some scripts that you can use to help you really think about and talk about this support system and bringing in other sources of help, which can come after, right? You've thought about your role, right? Topic two that we talked on, and had conversations with others around sharing this caregiving load. Okay. All right, let's talk about theme two, legal, financial, and living arrangements. Okay, more sort of like logistical planning here. So, topic four, or we have six we're going to cover here, is touching on legal documents and emergency planning. Okay, so here's a question to ask your parents. All right. Do you have all your legal documents in place? And where would I be able to locate them or find them in an emergency if something happened to you, right? These encompass basic estate planning documents, wills, knowing where documentation lives, even insurance paperwork, insurance records, what type of insurance they have, who is their doctor, who's part of their care team, what are the different services that they're even engaged with. Knowing where this documentation is critically important. And here's another really important follow-up question, right? You can say, can we review these together? Can we take a look at these together? To make sure that they reflect your current wishes, to make sure that they reflect your current situation, because many families discover outdated documents or can't locate documents when decisions need to be made urgently. It is, believe it or not, so common. People will receive a phone call. I have my son's friend's father over the Christmas holiday received a phone call. His mother slipped. They don't live close. He literally had to get on a plane the next day and fly out to see his parents. He was all consumed for over a week visiting his parents, dealing with his mother's fall and hospitalization from that, and working through many of these logistics with his parents because of this, all urgently, out of the blue, completely unexpectedly. And so having direct conversations or even just asking these questions with your parents now is so, so important. Here's some conversation starters, some scripts, some language that you can use, that you can leverage. It's just so, so important to broach this conversation and also to think of it as an ongoing conversation as well. But at a minimum, to broach it so it's top of mind, so that you at least know, do they have this documentation in place? Where does it live? It can just open up all types of different threads of conversation between you and your parents and your family. So topic five, I call the aging in place reality check. Okay. Here is a wonderful question to put toward your parents if you haven't already. What does aging in place realistically look like for you? And what's your backup plan if that ever is not a possibility? It's a huge question. And the reason that this is so important is because the majority of older folks want to stay at home, right? They want to age in place. They want to be in their environment that they know, that's comfortable for them, where they're settled, right? Stepping outside our comfort zone. Change is so, so hard. But the reality also, it's I think it's 75 to 90% of older adults want to age in place at home. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing given how populated senior care communities and facilities are. There's many pros and cons to aging in place at home, though, and few, either it be adult children, families, the older folks themselves, have honestly assessed what that really requires over time. And this is a conversation that really opens up discussion about what do you want, as you start to need more help and support. It opens up discussions about modifying their current home setup, transportation when driving needs to stop, right? Household maintenance, maintaining a home and a property is expensive inside and out. Sometimes it can be socially isolating. And it also the logistics of bringing in in-home care, professional caregivers at home, different types of home care and support as your parent or your parents' needs begin to, increase. And then also broaching this topic with sort of what I call the backup plan conversation, right? Talking about options for community living, assisted living, memory care if they were to ever get dementia, or deal with cognitive impairment and brain changes. So moving to a community outside of their home. And understanding those care and living arrangement options is equally important because preferences can change and circumstances can certainly evolve suddenly or gradually. And so having this type of discussion and even talking about, well, what would it take or what does it mean, mom or dad, for you to guys to keep living here at home if that's what you want? Let's talk about that, right? When everyone is sort of calm and, thinking more clearly can really prevent and get ahead of a lot of rushed and crisis-driven decisions that often catapult families into figuring this out as a result of an emergency. I know families whose parent was hospitalized, the mother, and could not go back home. And it catapulted this family, the adult daughter and her sister, into this essentially family emergency of having to figure out where can mom go because she can't go back home. She needs to figure out some time frame in skilled nursing. But then after that, what are we going to do? It was a real crisis, painful one with their family. And so this is just, I cannot emphasize the importance of this enough. And so I've shared some conversation starters, some language here on how you can open up this conversation and talk about it with your parents and with your family. Okay. And again, take a screenshot of this, write some of this down, customize this language to how you and your family might communicate, how it could work for you, what's comfortable for you. But this is just such a crucial topic to broach. Topic 6. I know I'm covering a lot of really thick stuff here. Granted, like I said at the beginning, we are scratching the surface of all of these, but they are really foundational, right, and critical, including financial planning for long-term care costs. So a question that you can pose here is, how do you want us involved to your parents? How do you want us involved in your care? And how can we prepare financially for care costs? This can open up both emotional and financial realities, right? Many adult children assume that they'll come alongside their parent and help provide different types of care or support, even if that's logistically or administratively from a distance, without understanding or even knowing their parents' preferences or their own limitations, without having that conversation on topic number 5 around aging in place at home, care and living arrangement options, and what your parent might want or desire for themselves. And most families drastically underestimate what it costs to age in place at home or to also receive care and support in a community home, in a community outside of the home. And so getting ahead of this is huge so that the family has clarity around this and you have some realistic sense, you and your siblings or other family members have a realistic sense of what are possible options and scenarios and paths for mom and dad or mom or dad or whoever that might be so that we can start to think more about that and plan for some of this stuff. This takes, years to think about or have some financial plans come together. And that is especially the case if you and your family, come to the realization or as part of talking through this, starts to anticipate at some point in the future, your parent or your parents will need to qualify for Medicaid to help pay for long-term care costs. And that really does take planning and guidance and support. And you want to be hopefully in somewhat of a position to help your parent with that so that the financial burden does not come to you, it doesn't come to you and your spouse, doesn't come to your household. Okay. And so conversations with your parent, and even if you can, involving a financial planner or an advisor, maybe your parents have one or they're working with one, talking with them about this or involving them. Again, that's part of your support system, part of their support system can be very helpful in having these conversations and sorting through some of this as well, or even just starting to think about it and know what questions to ask, right? Here's some conversation starters. Let's read this first one. I want to make sure I'm the kind of support you actually want or need as you get older, as maybe things get harder for you, not just what I think you need, right? And I want to be realistic about what that might cost, what the cost will look like so that we can plan for it, right? So that you can plan for it. Because again, as I was saying earlier, right, this is so much about this responsibility not falling on you financially or otherwise, right? And getting ahead of these things so that you have that not only that financial burden on you, but that peace of mind as well, so that you feel good about, okay, do we have are we starting to figure out a plan to get the best care in place so that my mom, my dad, whomever that is, can have the best quality of life. What can they afford? What's feasible? What's reasonable for our family? This is just so, so critical. Okay, I know I have covered a lot. We walked through part one of the 12 crucial questions and conversations that all of you should or could need to be having with aging parents, right? With your family, with your parent, with others about coordinating care, dividing responsibilities, right? We talked about the six foundational conversations here: sharing the caregiving load, defining your role, building your support ecosystem, your support system, legal documents, aging in place, right? Understanding living and care options and arrangements, even if it's not aging in place at home, and financial planning for care costs in the future. This is a lot, right? But like I said at the beginning, these are about preserving relationships, right? These are about reducing your stress. These are about getting ahead of things so that they don't become crises and emergencies that you get sucked into dealing with. They're intended to open up a dialogue and give you some confidence and some courage to step into this area and have some of these conversations so that you can get ahead of transforming your elder care experience, as I like to say, right? So that it's not overwhelming, so that you aren't burned out in this area of your life, so that it's a much more manageable reality for you. That's really what this is all about. Okay, I've covered a lot, I know. I want to take a pause here to do some just reflection and sharing. And so on all that we've covered, so much of what we have talked about touches thematically on readiness and preparedness. And so I want you to ask yourself these three questions and really take a moment here. Either write these down in your notes in your notebook if you've been taking notes on all of this information, and think about this. Let's just take a moment. I'll read these here and then give you guys a chance to really reflect on these for yourself, okay? If you're honest with yourself, what are you avoiding or denying about your parents' current or future care needs? Are you ready for stepping into helping your parents, supporting them? Is your parents ready? Is your family ready? I really think about that. Which of the six foundational questions and conversations that I covered here is most relevant for you? Maybe it's one, maybe it's all six. Think about that though. Or maybe you could prioritize them if you had to prioritize the six of them. And then lastly, is this an area of your life you could use community support and expert guidance? Okay, so just take a moment here. I'll take a pause, maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds, a minute, and then we will move on. But take a moment to think about these for yourself. Okay. If you are still thinking and still writing, and I love that some folks are sharing in the chat. Thank you. That's wonderful. Please keep going. Keep thinking on these. I know these are it can be very deep and personal questions. We are covering a lot of complex stuff. So keep going, but I'm gonna keep moving along here too in the interest of time for the other folks, okay? So let's talk about what is coming next. And I call it the human side of elder care. So the six foundation conversations that we went through today are more about getting the structure in place, right? The foundation, a lot of these sort of logistics. But we all know that when it comes to family dynamics, when it comes to our parents, when it comes to supporting their aging, it is so much more than just logistics and legal documents and arrangements, right? It is so much about navigating the deeply personal and emotionally complex aspects of supporting our parents and dealing with their aging and decline. And so, in the workshop part two that I have related to this, that's coming up, that you hopefully all will be able to attend and RSVP as part of signing up for this one. Workshop part two is called the Heart Conversations. We're going to address six other crucial questions and conversation topics, covering a number of different areas around digital scams, financial and digital scams for your parents, navigating healthcare decisions and medical advocacy, touching on you're framing your role as an advocate for your parent. How do you think about that in practice? Setting boundaries and working with a parent who, for whom maybe is toxic or for whom you've had a difficult history or relationship with. We're going to touch on that. And we're also going to be touching on role modeling the elder care experience for your kids. What are you teaching your kids, messaging to your kids and your family about family responsibilities through your actions and how you are dealing with aging parents in your life? And of course, relevant for people who have kids, but I will also say what we're going to cover is very relevant even if you don't have kids. Role modeling the elder caregiving experience can be something that others in your network, others in your circles, in your workplace, if you manage a team, can learn from you as well. So it's sort of about what are we role modeling, what are we messaging and conveying to the others in our lives about how we're handling dealing with aging parents and dealing with aging decline, end of life, and navigating elder care. So it's really, really, I think, amazingly important. We hardly touch and talk on this. So I am super excited for part two. Definitely come and join us for that if you liked what we covered here. Okay. So I want to take a bit of time before we conclude here to talk more about my elder care community for women caregiving from the middle, because if you found this workshop helpful, if it's given you some essential frameworks and conversation starters and really good things to think about and take away from with your family and for yourself moving forward, you are going to really love and benefit from the number of resources and supports that is available for women in this community. And it has comprehensive guidance with expert support and a community of women who are all on this journey and dealing with different aspects and challenges of supporting aging parents. And so I would love to invite you to join us inside this elder care community, caregiving from the middle. It's where you're going to be able to get even more guidance on navigating family dynamics and conversations and start to help you develop an action plan for yourself and your family. So many women are lacking in their support system, not only from a community and a connection perspective, but in just getting some guidance and coaching on how to navigate through many of these challenging dynamics and situations with family members, with yourself in this area of your life. And this community, like I mentioned, is really a first of its kind membership-based community. It's completely dedicated to women. Inside the community as a member, there is actually a complete learning curriculum within the educational curriculum and the learning library that we have available to members called Navigating Family Dynamics and Crucial Questions and Conversations that go into much more depth and detail than even what we've covered here and what we're going to cover in the workshop part two. There's extended conversation scripts for all different kinds of scenarios and situations. There's downloadable workbooks, resource guides, and templates that you can use at any time. Expert guidance on when and how to involve different types of professionals and service providers. We also have live group calls that members can join anytime that it works for them to talk about topics, ask questions, connect with other women in the community, and also get access to experts and specialists that are also members who cover a number of different elder care and aging domains or other areas of female experiences and mental health and well-being for women as well. And so it is just an amazing, amazing community that has a tremendous amount of resources. And that's why I call it comprehensive. I'll just touch really quickly on the learning curriculum within there. There are really two curriculum pillars. One is called Caring for Another. That's education and tools for navigating the world of elder care and senior care services advanced planning. You can work on developing an elder care plan for your parent and your family, if that's helpful for you, if that's what you need or are looking for. And then the other curriculum pillar is called Caring for Yourself. So it's education, tools, and framework to better care for yourself and thrive during this challenging phase of life. And the curriculum is specific to the challenges faced by women who are working mothers, also family caregivers, and have careers as well. Okay. This really is a resource and a community for women who feel unprepared for navigating elder care and supporting aging parents. They're looking for a game plan. They want connection with other women where this is being aging parent care is talked about, where it's being vented, where it's being problem solved, where you're getting that guidance and that support. Okay. So I want to conclude by saying thank you. And these are some next steps, concrete next steps, walking away from this session. Number one, I would invite you to join us inside Caregiving from the Middle community. Come and check it out for a quarter, for 6 months, for the next year, and see what it's like. There's the QR code where you can read more about all the benefits that are available to members and women in the community. It's amazing. Or if you want to, number two, you can schedule a chat with me. I talk with women, I work with women all the time in this area. And so schedule some time with me if you want to, and we can talk about your situation, or you can learn more about the community and see if it's really the right next step for you. Or if you want, number three, I always like to make some free resources available. I have a free aging parent care assessment checklist. If that's maybe a place you want to start, if you're not actually sure and you just want to say, okay, well, let me actually have something to help guide me to think about how I might make sense of all of this with my aging parent. And if there's maybe more here I need to be thinking about or not, there's that free checklist for you. Okay. I want to do a quick visioning exercise with all of you before we go. Okay. I want to have you close your eyes for just a moment. Okay. And imagine that it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now. And you have successfully had some of these conversations with your parent or your family. You've tackled some of these things that are maybe weighing on you or lurking in the periphery of your life, and you've made some progress. Okay. I want you to think about, what does a typical day look like for you in your life? If you're investing in community or a support system or guidance in this area of your life, and you're really tackling this over the next several months, over the next year, How are you showing up differently for yourself, for your family, for your parents, your kids, your career, at work, right? In all the different contexts of your life. And what does that mean for you? What does that really, really mean for you? Okay. Think about that as you move forward from today. Okay. The other thing to conclude and to wrap here is I want to, you can open your eyes. Yes, you can open your eyes, but come back to that. Think about that envisioning exercise. Okay, this future state. Yeah, you can open up your eyes. To conclude, I want to leave you with some final words of wisdom from someone who has been through this. Number one, you are not alone. You are not alone in what you are going through or what you're experiencing. There are women out there just like you going through the same similar experiences and challenges, having similar thoughts, right? And the place to find them, the place and the space to connect with them is inside the Caregiving from the Middle elder care community. That's why the space and the community exists. Secondly, you do not have to struggle or stay stuck. There is absolutely a different and a better way forward here. You can learn new things. You can show up equipped to more thoughtfully navigate, more nimbly navigate through this next phase of your life, no matter what stage you're at right now, right? And even beyond kind of managing through these difficult dynamics or conversations or logistics, finding joy and purpose and meaning in your parents, in your loved ones' final and last stages and phases and chapters of life is very, very important, right? That's what so many of us really desire and want underneath all of this. And that's really what we cover and equip you for with the resources and the support and the guidance in this community so that you can walk away with the clarity, the confidence, the preparedness, the know-how so that you can focus on what really, really matters to you in terms of your relationship with your parent, and your life in this phase. And then lastly, I want to emphasize how important it is to trust in a model that brings together community and learning, right? And is designed to meet you where you're at when you need that specific guidance or that specific resources or that specific type of support, depending on where you're at and what you are going through. Okay. Think about those three things as we move on from here as well. Okay, I know we only have a couple minutes left, so I want to conclude there. And with the time we have left, I'd love to open it up for everyone here for maybe one question or two questions. So feel free to either type your question in the chat or come off of mute, share what's on your mind. Or maybe if you'd love to, or if you'd like to, I'd love it if you could maybe share what was all of yours number one top takeaway from the workshop today. Okay, let me end the recording and we can do a little bit of Q&A.